Have you ever wondered why sometimes life doesn't go the way we want it to? Why doors close when we are so desperate for them to open? Why struggles come when all we pray for is peace? My dear friends, it's because there is a higher intelligence at work, a greater wisdom beyond our own. That wisdom is God's plan, and when we trust it, life begins to unfold in the most beautiful and unimaginable ways. Each one of us has dreams, goals, and desires. We plan our future carefully, but no matter how much we plan, life has its own way of surprising us. Sometimes those surprises hurt, sometimes they confuse us, but eventually they shape us. Just like a seed must break in order for a plant to grow, we too must go through trials to bloom. God's plan is not always comfortable, but it is always purposeful. Today, let us dive into this truth. God has a plan for you, and it is far greater than the one you imagined for yourself. Life often teaches us one of the hardest lessons: waiting. We live in a world that glorifies speed, fast food, instant messaging, same-day delivery. We are conditioned to believe that faster is better. But when it comes to the unfolding of our destiny, life does not work at the speed of our desire, it works at the pace of divine wisdom. And that is why understanding that God's timing is perfect can change the way we experience every moment of our journey. Think for a moment about a farmer. When he plants a seed, he does not rush to dig it up the very next day to see if it has grown. He knows there is a season for sowing, a season for watering, and a season for harvesting. If he tries to force the harvest before its time, he will ruin it. The same is true for our dreams. We plant them, we nurture them, but the harvest belongs to God's timing. And unlike us, God sees the full picture. He knows what we are ready for and what we are not. Many times in life, we feel frustrated because what we want is delayed. We ask ourselves, why is this job not working out? Why is this relationship not moving forward? Why is this opportunity taking so long? We feel like life is unfair, but in reality, delays are not denials. They are often divine protections. Imagine a person rushing to catch a bus, but missing it by a few seconds. In the moment, it feels like a tragedy. Yet later, when hearing that the bus broke down or met an accident, the missed bus feels like a blessing. This is what we often fail to see in the present, that God's timing protects us from unseen troubles. Let's take a real life example many of us can relate to. Imagine a young graduate applying for jobs. He applies to 10 companies, attends interviews, but rejection after rejection breaks his spirit. He wonders if he is not good enough, if his prayers are unanswered. But months later, he receives an offer from a company that perfectly matches his skills, pays him more than he expected, and gives him a chance to grow. Looking back, he realizes that if any of those earlier jobs had worked out, he would have been stuck in a role that was beneath his potential. Those rejections were not failures, they were redirections. And the delay was not wasted time. It was God's perfect timing aligning things for him. Even in nature, we see this truth. A butterfly cannot be forced out of its cocoon too soon. If someone tries to break it open early to help, the butterfly will not develop strong wings, and it will never fly. The struggle of breaking free is what makes it strong enough to soar. Likewise, when life delays our breakthroughs, we are being strengthened. Our patience, resilience, and faith are being built so that when the opportunity comes, we are not just ready for it, we are strong enough to handle it. The beauty of trusting God's timing is that it brings peace to the restless heart. Instead of asking, why is this not happening now? We begin to ask, what is this moment teaching me? That shift in perspective removes the burden of control. We stop fighting the current and instead flow with it, knowing that the river is carrying us exactly where we need to be. Think of some of the greatest stories of success and transformation. Behind them are always years of waiting, learning, and growth. A musician waits for years before his song reaches millions. An athlete trains in silence before her victory shines in the stadium. A tree takes years to grow its roots, deep before it stands tall and strong. Nothing great is rushed because greatness requires time. And time, when guided by divine wisdom, unfolds with precision. So, my dear friends, when you feel life is slow, when you feel like you are falling behind, remember this: you are not behind. You are exactly where you are meant to be. God has not forgotten you. He has not ignored your efforts. He is preparing you. He is aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances for your good. And when the time is right, everything will fall into place so smoothly that you will look back and say, "No, I understand why it took so long." Trusting God's timing does not mean we sit idle. It means we continue to give our best while knowing the outcome will blossom when it is meant to. Just as the sun rises not 1 minute too early or too late, your moment of success, joy, and fulfillment will rise in your life at the perfect time. And when it does, it will be worth every second of the wait. So let us walk through life with patience, with faith, and with trust. Because in the grand orchestra of existence, every note is played in harmony and the timing is flawless. God's plan may not be according to our watch, but it is always according to His wisdom. And His timing, my friends, is never wrong. Life often places obstacles in our path, and in those moments we naturally feel pain, confusion, and frustration. We ask ourselves, why me? Why now? Why this problem when I was only trying to move forward? Challenges, at first glance, look like barriers meant to stop us. But if we look deeper, they are not punishments. They are hidden blessings, carefully designed to prepare us for the person we are meant to become. Take the example of a diamond. To the untrained eye, a diamond begins as nothing more than a dull piece of rock buried under the earth. It goes through immense pressure, heat, and cutting before it shines with brilliance. Without the pressure, without the cutting, without the challenges, that rock would remain ordinary. Similarly, our difficulties may feel like they are breaking us, but in reality, they are shaping us into something extraordinary. Think about your own life. Can you remember a time when you faced a struggle so intense that you thought you would never get through it? Maybe it was losing a job, facing rejection, or dealing with heartbreak. At the time, it felt unbearable. But later, when you looked back, you realized that experience made you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Without that pain, you would not have discovered your hidden strength. Without that challenge, you would not have grown into the version of yourself you are today. A powerful example of this can be seen in the life of athletes. Every athlete goes through hours of training, pushing their body through exhaustion and pain. Their muscles ache, their energy drains, and sometimes they even fall. But each challenge in training builds endurance. Without the pain of training, there can be no victory in the stadium. Similarly, the challenges in our life are training sessions designed by God. They are not meant to destroy us. They are meant to prepare us for victories we cannot yet see. Let me share a simple everyday story. A young student once complained to his teacher that life was unfair, full of difficulties. The teacher quietly brought him into the kitchen and placed 3 pots on the stove. In one pot he put carrots, in another eggs, and in the last pot coffee beans. After some time of boiling, the teacher asked the student to observe. The hard carrot became soft, the fragile egg became hard, but the coffee beans transformed the very water around them into something aromatic and beautiful. The teacher smiled and said, "Challenges are like this boiling water. They will come, but you get to choose whether they make you weak like the carrot, hardened like the egg, or transformative like the coffee beans." This simple story reminds us that challenges are not about what happens to us, but about what happens within us. So often we think that life should be smooth, but smooth roads never make skillful drivers. A sailor becomes wise not by sailing calm waters, but by surviving storms. It is the storm that teaches navigation, courage, and focus. In the same way, challenges in our lives are not interruptions to our path. They are part of the path itself. Every difficulty is an invitation to grow in patience, strength, and faith. Sometimes challenges even act as protection. Imagine being rejected from something you deeply wanted, only to discover later that if you had received it, it would have harmed you or limited your growth. How many times has life kept you away from something, only to replace it with something better? We call it disappointment, but in truth, it is redirection. What looks like a challenge in the moment is actually a shield protecting us from the wrong path. And here lies the greatest blessing of all challenges: connect us to God in a way comfort never can. When everything is smooth, we rarely pause to reflect, to pray, or to strengthen our inner self. But when difficulties strike, our hearts naturally turn upward. We seek guidance, we cultivate humility, and we learn to let go of our false sense of control. This deeper connection is often the most precious blessing hidden in the disguise of hardship. So, my friends, the next time life hands you a challenge, pause before you curse it or reject it. Ask yourself, what lesson is hidden here? What strength is being built in me? Because when you view challenges as teachers, every difficulty becomes an opportunity. Instead of saying, "This is the end," you begin to say, "This is the beginning of my transformation." Remember this truth: roses bloom with thorns, rainbows appear after storms, and the brightest stars shine in the darkest skies. The challenges you face today may be the very experiences that prepare you for tomorrow's blessings. Embrace them, endure them, and grow through them. Because behind every struggle is a strength, behind every trial is a triumph, and behind every challenge is a blessing waiting to be revealed. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences we go through as human beings. Whether it is being turned down for a job, not being chosen by someone we cared about, or facing failure after giving our best, rejection cuts deeply. It feels like the world is telling us that we are not good enough, not worthy, or not capable. But what if rejection is not a sign of weakness, but a redirection? What if every no is secretly guiding us to a far better yes that we cannot see in the moment? Imagine a traveler standing at a crossroads. He wants to go left because the path looks shorter, but a strong gate blocks his way. Frustrated, he has no choice but to take the longer road on the right. At first, he curses his fate, but as he walks on, he finds that the right path leads to a breathtaking view, a peaceful resting place, and even kind companions he would have never met had he gone the way he originally wanted. This is what rejection is in our lives. It is not a closed door, it is a gentle push towards a path that holds greater meaning. Let us think about something practical. A young graduate applies for his dream job. He has prepared for months, given interviews, and is sure he will be selected. Yet, when the result comes, he is rejected. His heart sinks and he begins to doubt himself. Weeks later, while still searching, he comes across another opportunity that he had not noticed before. He applies reluctantly. And not only does he get the job, but it turns out to be in a company where he learns more, grows faster, and earns better than the first one could have ever offered. Looking back, he realizes the rejection was not the end. It was the redirection that placed him exactly where he was meant to be. This is the hidden truth. Rejection often saves us from what is not meant for us. Sometimes we want things that are not aligned with our growth. We think we know what is best, but our vision is limited. God, however, sees the bigger picture. He knows the long-term consequences that we cannot yet imagine. When a door closes, it is not because life is cruel, but because something better, safer, or more suitable is waiting for us. The rejection we cry over today might be the very blessing we thank God for tomorrow. Even in relationships, this lesson holds true. How many people have felt heartbroken after being rejected by someone they loved? In the moment, it feels like the world has collapsed. But years later, they meet someone who values them, respects them, and walks with them in a way they never thought possible. They realize that if they had not been rejected, they would never have found the person who was truly meant for them. The pain of rejection becomes the doorway to deeper happiness. Nature also speaks this wisdom. Consider how rivers flow. Sometimes they meet rocks and are forced to change direction. At first, it seems like an obstacle. But the new direction often leads them to merge with other streams, becoming stronger and eventually reaching the ocean. If the river had stubbornly tried to flow only in one way, it would have remained small and limited. Likewise, rejections in our lives force us to take new directions that make us stronger and lead us to greater destinations. A student once said to his mentor, "I feel like life keeps saying no to me. Every dream I chase, every opportunity I try for, I am pushed back. Why is this happening?" The mentor smiled and said, "Do you know how an archer works? When an arrow is pulled back, it feels like it is going in the wrong direction, away from the target. But only when it is pulled back enough can it be released to fly forward with speed and power, hitting the bullseye." Rejection is like that backward pull. It feels like you are being pushed away, but in truth, you are being prepared for a powerful release. The next time we face rejection, instead of asking, "Why me?" we can ask, "Where is this guiding me?" That one shift changes despair into hope. It allows us to see rejection not as failure, but as protection and redirection. When we trust this, we stop fearing closed doors. We begin to walk with courage, knowing that every no is simply clearing the path for the right rise. Rejection, then, is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a better chapter. Think of all the inventions, the discoveries, and the great leaders in history. Many of them faced rejection after rejection. Their manuscripts were turned away, their ideas dismissed, their efforts mocked. But those very rejections redirected them to improve, to innovate, and to persist until they created something extraordinary. Without rejection, they would not have discovered their true calling. So, my friends, whenever you encounter rejection, do not let it define you. Let it refine you. Do not let it close your heart. Let it open your vision. Trust that the path you are being redirected to is exactly where you are meant to go. Because rejection is not the end. It is simply God's way of saying, "Not this, my child, but something better awaits you." And when that better finally arrives, you will look back and smile, realizing that rejection was never your enemy. It was your hidden guide all along.